Thank you so much for taking the time here to join us.
Hey, Josh, how are you? Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Of course. So first off here, kind of break down for me what the stand your ground law even is.
Sure. Well, this all comes from the common law, and there's something called the castle doctrine, which has been around for hundreds of years. And that basically just says that your home is your castle, and you have the right to use reasonable force, including deadly force, if somebody is trying to intrude into your home. And over the years, this has been codified by state legislatures and expanded upon. And every state has some little variation of it. Some have more robust laws like Kansas, which has something called stand your ground. And then some others have sort of watered down things, which are kind of nicknamed make my day laws. But basically at the core of it is some variation of law that codifies this notion that you are allowed to defend your home against an attacker, that you are allowed to not only not retreat in certain instances, but you're allowed to use deadly force in response to an intruder. So all of the state laws are a little bit different, but Kansas is in particular, because that's where we're, one of the states we're talking about is actual, and Missouri as well, and some other states have stand your ground laws.
So based on this legal principle here and just the definition of that, is that a likely defense that would work in either of these cases that we are talking about?
Well, New York doesn't have a stand your ground law, although it does obviously have some common law notion that you can defend yourself. But I think in this particular instance, it's going to be an uphill battle, particularly in the Kansas City case, for there to be a successful stand your ground case here. And I'll tell you why, which is that I don't think there's really any evidence here that he was being attacked, that this 85-year-old man, maybe he was scared, but there's no evidence that he was actually being attacked. He shot the victim here through a locked door, through a glass pane and a locked door, and then shot him a second time while he was lying on the ground. And so particularly for that second shot, there's really no credible case that he thought he was being under attack. And so I think it was, to say it was an overreaction puts it mildly, given the seriousness of it. But I don't think they're going to be able to actually make this out at the end of the day.
And do you think this is going to lead to any sort of change, whether you're talking about at the local level, state level, federal level? We do know that this has come up a lot, especially over the last several days and weeks here. Is there the possibility this leads to any kind of change?
It's hard to tell. I mean, a lot of these laws have been around for hundreds of years. This notion of stand your ground in Florida, though, is relatively new. It was passed in 2005. So some of the laws are new, but the underlying doctrine's been around for a long time, this castle doctrine. And so I don't know whether it's the laws are going to change, but I do think the application of it is going to get more and more under scrutiny, because as we see these cases, I think jurors are understanding now that they have to look beyond somebody just saying, oh, I was feeling scared, because a lot of it is pretextual, and they have to look at that and judge whether this person's actually telling the truth or not. That just comes down to evidence. So I think on a case-by-case basis, we'll see jurors are going to become more skeptical of stand your ground claims.
And do you think overall people don't fully understand what stand your ground laws are? They think they understand it, but don't necessarily fully comprehend it.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem, is people think that it's a license to shoot somebody who comes up their driveway. And I think a lot of people misunderstand that. It is, stand your ground laws is not a license to start shooting people who knock on your door. That is not what it is. It's never been what it is. It refers to the situation where there's an intruder in your home, and saying that you have the right to use reasonable force, including deadly force, to protect yourself. But this notion of protecting yourself against an intruder in your home is very different than shooting somebody who's outside your door or who's driving in your driveway. That does not give you license to use deadly force. And I think a lot of people don't understand that and say that they're standing their ground when that's really not what the law is talking about at all.
Any idea why we've seen so many of these types of shootings recently, and why so many people are saying, this is related to the stand your ground law? Is there any reasoning behind it? And also, kind of another question here, do you think that in the near future, now that people do kind of understand the stand your ground law just a little bit further, that maybe it will be used less as a defense in cases like this?
I think we're seeing it because we have too many guns in the street and everybody has a gun. And so with the proliferation of guns, we're going to see more and more senseless shootings. And we're going to see people who don't understand the law but have a gun take the law into their own hands. And you're going to see more cases like this. It's not just a proliferation of shootings involving police officers. It's shootings involving people who are not police officers. And so I think we're seeing a rise in gun violence across the country. This is another symptom of the problem. And people are going to try to excuse their actions by pointing to the law. And that's why I think they need to be held to account in every instance that stand your ground is a very narrow category of defense. And it doesn't really apply to many situations where people are misusing handguns.
All right. Thank you so much, Duncan Levin. We appreciate you taking the time to join us, as always. Anything else you want to add about all of this before I let you go?
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.